Interest in nature came from, I don't know, like it's hard to can spot. In Korea, where I was studying, um, I was talking about nature a lot, but I shouldn't say never, I hardly ever used the material. I mean, it wasn't that available, but it actually got more closely engaged since I came to America. Everybody think in Asia there's like a nature friendly and that kind of thing. But then, in fact, in America there are more nature. Everybody living surrounded by grass and trees, and which in Korea, small country and concrete, and even though I grew up in a small town. There wasn't any huge tree in front of my house, and so I think there maybe genetically or historically you're embedded into respect nature, but I didn't never like have that chance to play with it directly as much. But when I came to America and started my graduate school, like being in Michigan, also sort of similar to here, abundance of all those natural resources, like leaf falling and branches trimmed off and lawn mowing and all that kind of thing, give me a possibility to even play with it. As a person who respect nature, I think I respect nature. I didn't want to abuse by taking on my own sort of use as a selfish way. So when there were so much available, I was feeling comfortable and okay to play with it. And if it didn't, it can go back to nature. So it sort of started that way. And as I working more and more, you sort of think about like, okay, where is this all coming from, And then you start thinking about what you play with when your child, and all those leaves that I was embedding to the window, the paper covered window that Korean has. And when I was growing up, and my grandma used to kind of place it, and when they're changing the paper, we used to also do that. And I also remember in third grade or fourth grade in elementary school time, and it was one of those assignments or things to do, and in between coming home from school to home, see, I don't even remember the teacher's name, but it's still kind of important. And we were supposed to mark whatever we see and collect. And I remember specifically thinking about picking plants on the corner and concrete, and then press and then tape it up. And I think I did it pretty good. I don't know how long I did it, but I specifically remember that, and like, wow, that's what I'm exactly doing. So I think there's a lot of things linking, but I don't know, that longing for nature and being around the countryside, and I think that's kind of started, and it just naturally happened. When I see natural material, it's not necessarily, well, sometimes I have this project and then it kind of clicked, but maybe sounds strange and creepy, but it calls me. It goes away that you call and take me home, or it's like sometimes I've seen it for many, many years, but never being in my attention, and then all of a sudden, like, wow, what is that? What is it doing? And some of the work that I did, like just so, and most taking pictures, the images that I'm working on, almost like I just want to other people to see it the way I see it. There's some energy that was exchanged, and it's like things that in the floor, ground, and piled up, and like, I like taking pictures of it, and how do I compose that? And some of them come in and kind of repeat in that way, and some of them I start looking and like, wow, I never seen this closely, and this is so beautiful, and what can I do with it? And then that happened. And some of the work, some of the materials, I just grab it, but they're so perfect that I cannot do anything, and then I end up, some of them holding it for even 10 years until it becomes the work. So I have a lot of piles of stuff that I keep it in my drawers and storage and stuff. When the first day of orientation at school, I tell everybody everything is fiber. You eat fiber, good for you. that this is a fiber. Everybody's fiber artist because you dressed up, and so I believe everybody in gene potential to be fiber artist is in that because you're dealing with it every day. So plant, tree, those are all still fiber to me. I mean, but maybe some people say I'm pulling too much or to make it like to fit there. But well, I don't necessarily choose things because it's fiber. I mean, the category is not that important. But the process of kind of module system and collecting and fusing it, and I mean the idea of quilt, that also was initiation of my big part of the work that I was working on. So kind of small, when I would start working with branches and twigs long time ago, as a sort of initiation of my first starting of natural combination of work, nature combined work was, my hope was, well, if I start examining individual leaf or twigs and branches, maybe I will have some knowledge that I can understand trees, and maybe that knowledge maybe give me to understand forests, and maybe I can understand nature. So it was my sort of maybe ambitious projective thinking that I was going for. So those kind of individual, the cells that makes a big body, and that idea is how I was thinking. But the quilting is one of those things I was thinking of, how those useless or scrap of fabric is put together and become very useful thing, but oftentimes long time ago, like a kind of generation handed down, made by grandma, and sort of that goes with not only utilitarian purposes, but also love and care. So when I see a tree falling in the fall and then blanketing the ground, and then kind of next seedling is protected, come out, and that cycle was also something I was looking at. But this, especially this body of work in this show, definitely I think more of the fiber related, especially my love of sewing and capturing and putting it together. So that fuse of that fabric, the silk organza, and then my stitching, and as my contribution to capture those elements and show whatever they can show. So I see that connection. Sewing is, I think, one of the first crafty technique that I learned from my grandma. I learned how to sew treadle one, the old-fashioned one, before I even go to elementary school. I mean, making doll clothing and all that kind of thing, playing with my grandma. And so that was something that I'm trained from the beginning. And I love sewing, and I do have a very fancy sewing machine. The year that I got the sewing machine, thinking that I would just, a lot of use of that, but after I got that machine, I even doing more hand sewing than ever. I don't know, some twisted mind. But I think, first of all, technically, it's hard to run these very brittle leaves to sewing machine. I mean, maybe the outside far away from the leaf, so that's pretty hard. So that particular work on the other side of the wall, the aura, the cone leaf work, that was done like long time ago, 20, years ago. This is actually one of the first piece that I had it in Michigan, here, Wisconsin, when I moved here. And when I moved to my house, and corn was first thing I planted in my garden to eat, not to material, but the material, the leaves start waving at me. You have to do something about this. Eating comes afterwards, and so I end up doing the projects. And that is all embedded in between between two layers of silk organza, and they're capsulated in between. So if I sew this with a sewing machine, as you may imagine, the leaf get crunched and all goes away. And if one goes away, I have to redo the whole thing because they're sort of continuation, just like title. I do enjoy, but then, while taking long time, and I'm like thinking, why am I keep doing this? I think about that, my stupidity, even though I enjoy, but at time I get like painstaking, and then like hardly reading and like sewing like this, and like oh, why am I keep coming up with this kind of project? But I can help. But I do like touch everything, and that's why I don't have a system to work with, because every moment from gathering to sorting to it's all is something that I touch, and I enjoy all of them equally. And so I guess selfish reason I cannot somebody else to touch that part and take it away. So that's how I end up doing a lot of hand stitching. I think I'm a very simple kind of person. Very simple, very basic. I can deal with tasks little by little, but also it's like meditative without really practice meditation as a professional way and out there. I was told by some colleagues, and what I'm doing is actually like almost what they're teaching in meditation plays, and sort of chasing thinking and this one next to the other, but then also thinking all of them are not exact same, just like human beings, just like us. We all look alike, but yet when you start looking at it, they're all different. Even the dandelion, those seed and individual the petals, and they are all different. And so I think that when I'm celebrating, I don't feel like bored to be repeating, because they are not repeat. It's just all different. It's just in a rhythm, and it's almost like breathing and sort of going. And sometimes it's hard to stop when, and all of them be continuing too. So it's becoming more like daily, kind of regular, kind of behavior, part of the movement of what I do. And so it's I mean it's a project, but I don't necessarily think it's a work and project. It's just happening, and sometimes that's why I feel like, is this something that I could show outside, because I'm just doing it in my studio, and this is just part of me. So sometimes it's hard to kind of cut it off. Well, the title of the show, From My Garden, that represent all those work and the resource, rather than fabric I bought it and canvas I bought it, but all those plant materials are all collected and gathered, and some I planted and harvested from my garden, my home. Well, one in the front, I guess I still garden too. And I'm so happy to have them all together, because I do some other work that is not necessarily from my house and my parameters, but it kind of maybe represent me like a little squirrel working in their place and kind of working, and especially lately with the pandemic and being locked up, and sometimes feel like you're cut out and not being able to do anything. But for me, I end up seeing more of what what I didn't see nearby, and was able to pay attention to things. So. And so documenting it, that the work that outside has a dandelion and then those roots and the whole process, whether I was working for project or reading, and that become like, oh my God, I feel so sad that I had to kill this, too bad this branches and this little roots and pine, not pine, was the maple trees and all those beautiful tree seedling. They're growing so well. I've never seen anything growing that much in America. I mean, in Korea, like trees, hard to plant and all those things. Here, all the leaves, the seed fall down, and next spring you see all the things coming out, and you're busy pulling out. And I feel, bad, because those trees, if they started growing in mountains or whatever, they would have a great opportunity. But me, being in between brick and walkway, I had to pull it out, otherwise it would ruin the whole ground and everything. So I think about that, like being where and being in the wrong place. It's like us, opportunity and possibility. When you are in the right place and right time, you get appreciated. When you're in the wrong place, you're out. So even playing with natural material, I think about that kind of situation too. So having the potential to be what's around, and you don't have to go to picnic to see beautiful nature, but we are all surrounded by. So I think having this all together in place I feel really happy about them to kind of reunion of their siblings. Yeah, so in this show, I have a couple of photo magnets of the dandelion flower, and I've been taking picture and I love taking picture. I love being in the picture too. I mean, I think I started a selfie with a tripod. I don't do these things, but. I always jokingly say it's my extension of my memory because I don't remember well. But the photo, like when this action of clicking somehow register more and I remember more, but I also organize all this photo. And I also been exhibiting some photo too. But thanks to also digital camera and, I like close-up pictures a lot, and especially I was trying to take picture of a really close-up of flower, but then I see all the aphids. It's like, what is it? And used to be I don't like any bugs, but then they're beautiful as what it is. So I start discovering even more stuff. So it's for the documentation purposes, but also the shape and form and design that happen in nature. That it's like, I cannot repeat them. So in many ways, I'm just enjoying as what it is. But also it kind of give me an idea, how to use those shape and understand the form. But also it gave me a chance to pause a little bit because when you work and my back is getting bad, and so okay, let's goof around a little bit and take pictures and see what I can do, and you get different kind of ideas too. So the root picture that I have on, there was one day I was like, okay, now I had to really pull some weed because it's getting a little frost-like, forest-like, and I start pulling but then of course, as I lining up, I don't know, I'm very not this organized person, but somehow I train to be organized to overcome my disorganization skill. I don't know if it's a skill, but so I lined it up like, what am I doing outside in the sun and lining up? And I hope somebody don't see me what I'm doing. My neighbor, they may think I'm a little crazy, but it's like lining up and taking pictures. And like, okay, well, at least I document you. Sorry, I killed you, but I have a little celebration to remember your life, and so that kind of my ongoing strange conversation with nature. I don't know. I'm conversating. Maybe they don't conversation with me, but I try to talk to them. And then also dandelion and those seed, and none of them are safe. Again, it's like so beautiful. And then those seed, I don't do a good job. I'm trying to do this, and wind blow and disappear. So at that moment, if I miss it, I miss it. But by me taking a chance to see one moment, I'm just, appreciative of what's surrounding us and what is made for us. People are getting more bombarded with all the technology and speedy, and especially after pandemic, more anxious, and I don't know, like rush. Even though I'm one of those people who doesn't sleep well much either, but it's like, well, I think especially your gallery being so like this light and the white, and they come in, especially when not many people are in there, and hopefully you're transported into different world and you can feel yourself, and then like what is this, and like now when you go out and start seeing the little leaf dropping and like, yeah, I see that, and like, so maybe have more attention to kind of extend their slowness, and kind of pacing the life. So, and then they start saying, well, maybe I could do this with that sometime when I'm cleaning the house or cleaning the gardens, and that kind of mindset is what I'm hoping for. If I can do this, you can do it, right? All of them are all possibility. And so I'm continuously kind of playing what I used to do in kindergarten or even before kindergarten, and I think in maybe a little more sophisticated, but so I'm still playing. It's luxurious being able to play is like sometimes like too good and feel guilty in some way. So I guess that's what it is, right?